Well, for more on what this means for BHP Billiton, I spoke to Nigel Lake, Joint CEO of management consultants Pottinger. Nigel Lake, thanks for your time.
Our pleasure.
How much of a setback is this decision by the Canadian government, because there are a number of other hurdles?
Well, look, if the Canadian government says no, then this is an absolute sort of end mark for this transaction. I think BHP has indicated that they will look to see if there's anything further that can be done. I think it's really going to be very challenging to get this decision reversed. Clearly, it's a big political decision in Canada, and for the Canadian government to go back on this decision and to re-engineer the transaction in a way which will make this work will be pretty challenging.
What do you think it means for BHP Chief Marius Kloppers then, given the failed experience with Rio Tinto?
Well, look, this was strategically a very important transaction for BHP. It marked a significant diversification of their business away from coal and other carbon-intensive assets. I think they will continue with Plan B, which I would assume would be to continue to develop the resources they have in Canada and in Potash. They will also continue to try to find ways to diversify their business. I think these are big challenges. I think it's difficult to pin blame for this on Marius Kloppers. I think the organisation really has been brave in pursuing a transaction of this size and complexity, and they will really need to go back and look at what their other options may be.
Because there was a view among some investors that this deal, like the Rio Tinto proposals, was an impossible deal.
Well, I think this is the question here has really come to the fore in a number of transactions recently, which is the geopolitical issues around very large M&A transactions, where you see national interest being weighed against the desire of large corporates to establish very significant positions on the global scale. A smaller version of this plays out obviously with the ASX SGX transaction as well in Australia right now.
So that Plan B that you pointed to, is that significant? Is that sufficient?
Look, it's difficult to put your minds exactly in the head of the board, but I would say that Plan B will certainly not be all that's in scope for them. That is one thing that they can do now in the near term, but they will need to look at a range of other options to continue to build their business and, as they've said, I think very publicly, continue to diversify that business further over the medium term.
What are the options you see for the future?
Well, I think it is genuinely challenging when if their focus is to build activities which are less exposed to carbon pricing risk, for example, and they've not commented much publicly on that, but it must be a concern. There are few alternatives within the world of, say, potash to this particular transaction. This was far and away the best asset globally. The next best thing for them to do absolutely is the organic development of their existing resources in Canada. And I don't think we should necessarily look for an M&A transaction as an answer to these challenges. They have, I think, many other projects that they can also develop.
OK, Nigel Lake, thanks for joining Late Line Business.
My pleasure, thank you.